And how was the ambience in that moment at Nick with all the kids before Drake and Josh?
The Amanda Show was great. The first season was really awesome. And I think, getting into what the documentary talks about, it wasn't until the second season that things started to get really bad.
I didn't watch the documentary till now, but I know all the things that talk about it, and it's very hard. First, how Drake and Josh start?
Drake and Josh started from, so the second season of Amanda Show, Josh Peck became a cast member. He wasn't on the first season, so he came in second season.
You meet her for first time?
First time on
that moment.
On that moment, yeah.
Okay.
And we weren't doing many sketches together. Me and Amanda were still sort of the key players. But there was a sketch called Tony Pajamas where we played kind of like a little Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, like mafia guys. Like, hey, how you doing? And we were put together in a sketch. And it was really an amazing moment because Amanda was not the lead character of this sketch. It was the first time we'd worked together, me and Josh, like closely. And we were doing this scene, and he was making me laugh so hard I couldn't even. We had to do so many takes because every time he would do something, and we were going back and forth and improvising, and things were coming out that was, and the audience was laughing, and the crew was cracking up, and finally, when I pulled it all together and was able to get through the scene, something clicked in me where I looked at him and I went, there it is. The Martin and Lewis, the Abbott and Costello, all the buddy comedies that I grew up on that I wanted to do, there he is. Like, and, something shined down on us and put us together as this comedy duo. Little did I know that we would go on to, our names would be inseparable from each other in the future. But so the producers and writers started seeing our chemistry and putting us together more. And there was one scene where all it said in the script was Drake and Josh fight over a shrimp. And it was just this, we're playing ourselves, as we would often do in the show, had sort of a behind the scenes aspect to it sometimes, and we would play ourselves. And we're just walking down the street, and a shrimp falls from the sky, just like a little grilled shrimp. And Josh says, hey, look, and there's no dialogue. It just says we fight over a shrimp. So they're like, all right.
So be creative.
Go do something.
Wow.
And so Josh stops, and he's like, hey, look, a shrimp. Oh, no, I say, hey, look, a shrimp. And Josh says, oh, I want it. And then I go, hey, no, I want the shrimp. No, I want the shrimp. And then we get into this full-on wrestling match over the shrimp, and we're saying things like, Josh is like, I love shellfish. And I'm like, don't step away from the shrimp, Josh, nothing to see here. and we're just coming up with these things. And at that time, the network was looking for a buddy comedy. And as the producers were watching this sketch, one of the writers leaned over to the executive producer and said, hey.
Watch this.
There's your buddies right there. And so a little bit after that, we were approached and asked if we would want to go and be on our own show and do a more sitcom style show together, to which, I can't speak for Josh, but I was, yes. I couldn't, I was like, just enough. Like, yes, the answer is yes, And then we were able to spin off. It took a while, and took time to convince the network because they wanted to pick up a few other shows. They really didn't want to pick up Drake and Josh. But eventually, the network was convinced that this was a show that they would move forward with, and we ended up doing Drake and Josh.
The first season was a successful season.
Once we aired, we were received really well, but it took a long time to convince the network. We shot a pilot, and it took almost a year to get picked up and go to series, which is a long time. And so we weren't sure if the show was going to get picked up. We had fun shooting the pilot, how that always goes. And but eventually we got the call that we got picked up, but they only picked us up. A normal season on Nickelodeon would be picked up for 13 episodes, but they were so unsure about the show that they only picked us up for 6 episodes.
Okay.
And so the first season is only 6 episodes, but luckily the fans loved it, and we continued on for 4 more years.
How many seasons did you do?
We did 4 seasons and 2 movies.
And 2 movies.
Yeah.
Well, did you become real friends?
3 movies. 3 movies.
Okay. Did you become real friends behind scenes?
Josh and I's relationship was like, I would compare it to real brothers. I mean, there were some times when we were inseparable, sometimes when we had great times together, and then sometimes when we didn't want to be around each other, so, and we were going through our adolescence at that time, and I was dealing with a lot of dark things, and what I've read and I've talked to Josh later in life and what he's come out with in his book and in interviews, I realized that we were both going through a lot of personal traumatic situations and experiences that we were dealing with that probably contributed to the moments that we were at odds with each other.
Are you keeping in touch right now?
I don't really keep in touch with Josh that much. There's a lot of people on the show that I do keep in touch with. I'm great friends with Jonathan Goldstein, who played my dad on the show, Nancy Sullivan, who was my mom, Yvette Nicole Brown, who played Helen, and a lot of the crew members are still, we text and talk a lot. So I made a lot of great relationships on that show. But I don't talk to Josh that much.
Okay. How was a normal recording day at the set? It was fun. Do you have fun with the other kids? How was it?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing what I loved, so it was great. But it was grueling, getting to work at, early in the morning. We would rehearse for 3 days. Then we would shoot for 2 days, and the shooting days would be very, very long hours. And but for me, I was dealing with a lot of stuff inside because of things that had happened on the Amanda show. During that break between the pilot of Drake and Josh and actually going to series, was when everything sort of came to a head with what was happening to me and the abuse that I had endured and all of that. So there was a lot of inner turmoil and things that I didn't know how to handle. But like I said, when the lights went on and it was showtime, that was my heaven. That was my time to escape, and I just absolutely loved it.